Hello, hello, and welcome to the Joy Connection. It's season 4. And I got to tell you, I've been going back and forth and back and forth. Am I going to start it earlier? Am I going to start it later? When am I going to start it? What am I going to talk about? Who am I going to invite? I mean, I've just been going nuts. But I have to tell you, everybody like myself, I've had to take a break, just take a little hiatus, take a deep breath, come back to center, as we all know is so important, and sort of find myself a little bit because there's just so many things going on. And it's been a good break. And in fact, this weekend I was in Scotland. Okay, all my Scottish friends don't get upset. That was my Scottish accent, but it was fabulous. The Scots are lovely. Oh, and the men are anyway. Let's. I digress. Scotland was nice. I'll just leave it at that. So welcome. I'm so glad that those of you that are here already can join us. And I'm really excited about tonight's topic because, you know, it's something that my producer and I have talked about for a while. It's something that one of the guests and I tonight have talked about for a while. And just stepping back a little bit, my producer and I were talking about, you know, what we were going to do this season. And one of the things we talked about that we thought would be really important was, you know, let's talk about the things that we don't talk about. Right? There's so many things that we should talk about, but we brush it under the carpet, or we sort of think, well, yeah, we could talk about that another time, all that kind of stuff. And so this season, we wanted to bring about talking about things that we don't really talk about, like the one we're going to talk about tonight, which is hair, menopause, aging, sex after 50. Not that I would know anything about that, because, you know, I'm younger than that, but, you know, just kidding. You know, just all the things that we don't talk enough about. I see one of my guests looking around in the green room. Yeah. I don't know. It might apply to you too. I don't know. But yeah, let's just talk about stuff that we need to talk about that we don't talk about enough. So tonight, I've got two beautiful, gorgeous women, both on the outside and inside. And I love them both dearly because of not only being beautiful on the inside and outside, but also fiercely smart. And I love that. It's very sexy when you're a smart woman. So tonight I'm going to bring on first, my first guest is Maureen Samuel. I'm going to bring her on, and then I'm going to bring on Michele, who was a guest before. So I'm just going to give Maureen a little bit of time, and then I'll bring Michele on. So please welcome Maureen Samuel. Maureen!
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm fine, Michele. Just lovely seeing you. And after your break, it's great.
Thank you for making the time and bearing with me and all the things that I've had going on. So I appreciate you stepping up to the plate and, you know, giving us some of your time and your love. So I'm really excited about that tonight. Yeah. So Maureen, just to give people a little bit of insight about who you are and stuff like that, can you tell everyone where you're from and where you live?
Right. So born in the UK, but parents, to cut a long story short, from Trinidad. Okay. And I'm currently living in Bedfordshire in Luton. So yeah.
All right. So you're Trini. Oh, good. I'm all about accents tonight. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
And Maureen, tell me, or tell us, because the show is called The Joy Connection, I always ask my guests, how did we connect? So do you remember how we connected or where we connected?
Well, do you want me to tell the whole story, Michele?
No, just the short part. Just a little bit.
It was fantastic. We met in Cuba, 2016,
That's right.
August, yeah. And we were there for a month and just pure dancing, relaxing, energizing, getting healthy. Absolutely fantastic and awesome break. Yeah.
And Maureen, as you can see, is very gorgeous, and I felt like her lady in waiting most of the trip because they'd say, "Hi, Michele." Oh, Maureen. Your hair, it's so beautiful. You can't say it was a lie. I would get kind of shoved.
You did about the hair, but, you know,
my ego is usually up front, and I was like, oh.
Not at all.
If I must. but we had an amazing time, and
Oh,
we've had
fantastic.
an amazing relationship since. So that's been
Yeah,
really good.
yeah,
And just can you tell the audience also? I think this is really interesting for people to know a little bit about what you do as a professional, what your background is about, what you're doing.
right. So started out in nursing many years ago. Did my nurse training, registered nurse, but that's not what I wanted to do initially. Business was my passion from quite young, but nursing I went into. I then from there went into what we call occupational health nursing. And that's looking after people in the workplace, their health, well-being, physical, mental, social well-being, with health and safety underpinned with that, foundational. And that has been my core ever since. Yeah, and I now have I've had a business for 21 years in occupational health, providing a service, and that service is provided to businesses. So my clients are businesses of all sizes. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And that part of the new company you now have called the Wealthy Company? How did you come up with that name?
Yes, yeah. Well, to be honest, with my marketing manager, who is also my daughter, Carleen. So big shout out to you, Carleen. Thanks for that. But just looking at um, what I'm passionate about, and it's about people's health and well-being, regardless of their status in life, but in the workplace, especially, sort of blue collar workers, for want of a better phrase, who executives normally get the benefits
That's
of
right.
a gym, etc., and others don't, and they're working really hard. So it's only fair that somewhere along the line they're giving that time. Yeah. So I'm passionate about that. So that's
So
hence the
the wealthy. I love that. So the wellness and the healthiness and the wealthiness of being well, right? Have I got that
absolutely,
right? I love that.
absolutely perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
great.
So yeah.
So let me ask you, if you're passionate about wellness and being healthy,
Mm.
what does Maureen do for self-love and self-care to be healthy and wealthy?
Right. So alongside the nursing and occupational health and business, um, I am a qualified personal trainer. Haven't practiced it for a while, but what is really good about it is that the information that I've learned from personal training and keep up with is an extension of the health advice I will often give people in the
Um,
workplace and on a one-to-one basis outside of work, which is really important. So the medical profession are actually fantastic at giving medical information. But when you go past that and you're out of that care, how do you improve your fitness beyond getting well and coming out of the hospital or your GP's care? So I'm able to offer that extension of exercise, of pacing yourself when you're exercising, the type of exercise to do, how often. So personal training, but giving the advice on people exercising, etc. For myself, I love yoga, walking, running. I used to do, suffered some injuries, so that's to the back burner. But just generally looking after yourself. Yeah, healthy eating, passionate about. So yeah, all avenues. Yeah.
some good roti and doubles. Yeah, that's
Oh,
really
yeah,
healthy.
don't even go there. Yeah, once in a while. Yeah. Fine.
Yeah, watch the waistline. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Maureen.
Yeah,
Well,
you're
what I'm
welcome.
going to do is bring Michele on and have a quick chat with her, and then we'll bring you both back on together. I think, is that how we're going to do it, producer? Give me a nod. All right. Yeah, I got it right. So thank you, Maureen, for your intro. And I'm going to bring Michele on, and then I'll bring you back. All right. Thank you. So, Michele, what's up, girl?
Hey, Michelle.
How you doing?
I'm good. I heard you do the intro and you were like, people over 50, check. Menopause, check. Talk about hair, check. So
You're going to be watching every show. That's great. I love it. You are my avatar. Girl, we're going to talk about some hair stories in a minute. I'm
I can't wait.
mm,
I can't
mm,
wait.
mm,
And what a lovely guest you have, Maureen. It'd be great to join her. Fantastic.
I only have lovely people like yourself as well. And you're looking radiant and beautiful as usual.
Thank you. You are too. I'm loving the braids. I'm loving the braids.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll talk about that also. I'm loving those earrings. Are those from Africa?
They are. Thank you very much. I actually got them in Accra. Yes. And I'm loving them too. I'll be sure to get you a pair when I go there again, even though you're closer.
This is true. You'll probably get there before I do, so that will work. So, Michele, we had you as a guest before, and some people may have watched you before, and some people haven't. So I'm going to ask you the same questions again, just so that it's fair. And if somebody missed your brilliance before, they get the chance to see it again.
Sure.
So, everyone, where you're from and where you live.
Yeah, I'm born and raised in New York City. My family is from Panama, mom and dad's side. But now I'm actually in Connecticut. We relocated here 6 months before the pandemic.
Wow.
And yeah, I know, it was crazy, right? And I'm a career coach.
That's right. And how did we connect, Michele? Can you remember?
Oh, yeah. This was years ago when we both lived in Brooklyn. And I think we met at an event, but then we ended up going out on a double date. You at the time with your partner and mine with my husband. And then we just kicked it off. And, I always believe anyone who's got my same name, we got to stick together.
Oh, that's right. Michele and Michele. I love it. And Michele, can you tell us a bit about your podcast? Because you've got a fantastic podcast. I think that's really great. And what you do as a career coach and how those two maybe merge or do maybe merge.
Yeah, thanks, Michele. The Global Advocate Career Podcast is basically where you get to know the person behind the career, right? So I started it back in 2019 and, still doing it, still plugging away. I've had the pleasure of having you on it. And, it works on par with my career as a career coach. I work with individuals who are actually, whether they're seeking transition within their role, out of their role, or about to go into a new role. So I love it. I myself had a career coach, and during our sessions, I was like, I could do this, and I love it. About 3-4 years later, I'm doing it. I have my own practice. I'm also doing diversity, equity, and inclusion work with a great business partner. So things are going quite well, Michele.
Excellent. And just, and you know what, let's bring Maureen on, and I want to ask you both the same question. So thank you. So ladies, Maureen, you will know what I know, but I wanted to ask Michele really quickly, how is, I don't want to use the word post-COVID because we're not in post-COVID, but how is coming through COVID times in New York right now?
Well, is that for Maureen or for me? That's for me?
For you, Michele, in New York.
Yeah, so I think everyone is, doing what is expected, for the most part, vaccinating. I know individuals who don't want to vaccinate, and I'll leave that to them. But I think what's thrown a wrench into our circumstances now are the different variants that are coming into play. So, if it means that I just have to wear a mask more often, so be it. If it means I have to wash my hands more often, so be it. I think the idea here is just, continuing on with life and doing the best that you can under the circumstances and not play into fear.
Yeah. And that's key and key. Same thing here, Maureen. I mean, we've stopped wearing masks here, correct? And we've got, I would say we're feeling very liberal, but I suspect that we're going to have another lockdown. That's what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
Because the numbers are rising again and the weather's changing well, as far as I was concerned, it was autumn today anyway. Autumn started this weekend for us. Yeah. So I was wearing boots today and a jacket. So that was the end of the great British summer already. I won't complain about that anymore. But yeah, so we've had our fair share of stuff. But ladies, we are here to talk about hair, but before we go forward, I wanted to just acknowledge we've got a few people on here saying hi. So we've got Michele from the UK. I'm not sure who Thriveology is, but welcome.
Thriveology is Carleen.
Oh, Carleen, okay. Miss Thriveology, welcome.
Yeah.
We've got Olivia Pitt that we love, and she's a great supporter who also has her own podcast. And Eva Delgatti, also a relative, Michele. Remember, we had a chance.
Yes. Hi, Eva. Yes. And hi,
Eva, there's a family member that you don't know about. So, hey, small world, small world. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. And those of you that are listening are not brave enough to make any comments, it's okay. Join whenever you feel like it. So, ladies, let's talk about hair. And I wanted to start with Maureen. Maureen, tell me, how long have you had locks? And before you answer that question, is there a difference to you when someone says, oh, I like your locks, or I like your dreadlocks? Does that mean any difference to you?
Do you know what? It depends on who's saying it to begin with.
Oh, okay.
In the main, it doesn't bother me.
Okay.
And I've had my locks for 19 years, 2002, and as a teenager, it was something I wanted to do. Okay. We'll talk about why it wasn't done beforehand, it's been a journey. 19 years of a journey. The beginning is quite hard. Anyone who's starting out will know. It's perseverance, and and you get through it. And I personally embrace it. It does, You have your good days, your bad days, still, but it is what it is. Yeah, I embrace it as my.
Just so you know, Olivia in the audience just said that she had locks for 13 years. Yeah. And she said, I preferred calling them locks over dreadlocks. So that's interesting. And Olivia wears her hair short, really short, like natural. So that's interesting. Okay. And so for you, Maureen, was it about, do you know where that desire came from? Was it like you had a crush on Bob Marley? Was it, oh, I've seen it and I think it looks sexy, or I think my hair would be easier that way? Was there something that sort of pushed you to decide to do that, or not pushed you, but inspired you, for a better word?
Right. So as a teenager, it inspired me. So I was not into the soul scene. I was into the reggae and the hardcore culture, music.
Yes.
Very orientated, very passionate about our history and who we are as a people, even as a teenager. And I think originally I came from London, was born in London. First 10 years of my life was spent there. But thank you, Olivia. But after, in my teenage years, I went up north. Parents moved up north. I had to be up there. Conditions as regards race and people accepting you, a bit harsher than it is in the north. At the time, less diverse. Yeah. So I had a pretty tough time as a teenager because of the color of my skin. And it just made me want, sort of as a community, just embrace my community, embrace my culture, etc. And just learn to be proud of who I am. Yes, getting the hair permed, because parents, as we know, sometimes you have your children and the easiest way to look after their hair is to relax it. Hot comb it at the time, relax, do whatever. I went through the whole lot. And I saw Rastas, and I mean true Rastas, because I used to go to their events and etc., embracing their hair. It was nothing to be ashamed of. So that's why I suppose whether it's I'm asked have I got dreadlocks or locks, it doesn't matter to me. It's my hair. But with the culture and embracing the culture, that was what. And seeing the people who wore the locks, who were quite good. So I had a cousin who was a little tyrant when he was a teenager, but he was called into the Rastafarian religion. He turned around. He was absolutely, and still is, an absolute amazing person. So, it had good things for me, connotations rather than negative. Yeah.
Which is great.
So,
Which is
and
great.
I just think embrace who I am, etc.
Now, for me, being raised in a Jamaican family, my parents were raised with Rastas as being something negative, you know, you don't want to be like those people, all that kind of stuff. And, it's lack of understanding and interaction, because I think a lot of the Rastas that they saw, well, I'm making assumptions. I don't even know. I wasn't there, so I don't know. But there was this assumption that it was us and them, and that's how it was treated. And so when you spoke of even thinking about locking your hair, you got like that kind of Damon look where the Omen, your head spun around and was like, what?
Yeah.
And I think so. And that would be the end of that conversation. So you're like, okay, maybe when I leave home. And I've secretly always wanted locks. And I think for many years I didn't do it because I didn't want my parents to be disappointed. I didn't want them to be uncomfortable with it. I didn't, all about them and nothing about me. And then when I could do it and was able to do it, I just thought, I'm a bit lazy. Am I going to twist it every day? Am I going to? I don't know, but I'm kind of semi-locked now, right? So I don't know. Maybe this might be the start. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. So moving to Michele. Thank you, Maureen, for telling us that. That was great. That was great. And Michele, tell us a little bit about your hair journey, because Michele has, I would call it almost like a double whammy, right? You've got your Black heritage, but you've also got that Latino culture as well. And I mean, in all cultures, as far as I know, hair is important when it comes to women, and most people are insistent on it being long. You're beautiful when it's long. So being a Latin woman, where most Latin women wouldn't dream of not having long hair, how was it for you when tell us your story. Tell us your story. Let me not talk about it. You tell us.
Yeah, no, I mean, so my background, my parents are from Panama, but before Panama, it's the West Indies. So Barbados and Jamaica and Nicaragua. So, but, I'm Afro-Latino. So my mother's side of the family, who I grew up with, my parents divorced when I was 5, all Black women, all wore natural hair. I was the only person in my family who actually exhibited relaxed hair. And how I got to that was because my caregiver, who was Cuban, she was Black Cuban, the culture was going to the salon, getting your hair relaxed, blowing it out. And so I grew up with natural hair until I was 16, and then relaxed it for probably the next 35, 40 years. And I realized that I didn't want to do that anymore. And interestingly enough, the first time I went natural, I got the most flack from people that looked like me. And I was absolutely taken aback. It was very surprising. I had people say to me, what happened? Where's your hair? Are you okay? And I was like taken aback. So much so that I went back and relaxed my hair, and that wasn't good for my hair. And so about 4, 5, 6 years ago, I was in a 9-to-5. And it was at that time I was going through a lot of different transitions in my career, in myself. And I said, you know what? I'm going natural. And this time I was like, and I prefaced it by saying, this is how it is. If you don't like it, tough. And I have a very supportive spouse. He's seen me in many hairstyles. The only hairstyle I haven't tried are locks. And I thought about it. And actually I wanted to say that, that question is a good one, Michele, because I consider a dread, right? Dread, it's associated with the Rastafarianism, the identity. It's a deep thing. I've met and known dreads that lock their hair in whatever direction it goes in, right?
Mm.
Whereas locks, I feel, are more controlled. So I think it's interesting, Maureen. I agree with you. It depends on who's asking the question.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Good point. Yeah. So I like this that you're saying you had your hair natural, then you relaxed it, then you went natural, then you relaxed it again, and then you went back to natural.
Relaxed, natural, relaxed, natural now. I'm never going back. Never.
that was my point. I think it's one of those. It's kind of like what you saw in Ghana, the point of no return, right? You get to that point, and you're like, you know what, this is really it.
Yes.
Really
Yes.
it. So
thank you, Olivia.
I wanted to ask you both, as a woman who's always changing my hairstyle, and I think part of the reason that, I mean, I am natural, but I either add a weave or add hair or do something, is because I am just A, lazy, and B, I like to change it up. You know, just like in the bedroom, I like to change it up, you know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you know. And so I enjoy having that change and that look, and having a completely different look. And I really enjoy playing with that. It's very playful for me. I think that's the term I want to use, as well as color. I love playing with color. And Michele, I love that you have color in your hair. But Maureen, have you ever thought of, or would you ever color your locks in, you know, with that not being black, but have you experimented? Or
I have, and yeah. So before Loxing Up, for 2 years, I went natural. So I had my hair in twists. I shaved it off. All right. So had it in, let it grow, twisted. It was dyed various colors, very much like yours, Michele. I love the organdy, the autumn burgundy color. And yes.
on the end.
So I actually went out to Florida. I think it was 2017. And I thought, I really would like to dye my locks. So I actually went to a hairdresser. My sister, who lives out there, took me to a hairdresser, had it bleached at the end. So it was blonde down at the bottom, and you know, a bit darker, sort of going up until it was black. So it was quite nice. It was just the aftercare. So it gets, you know, I got back here, I'm busy. Have I got time to be
Story of my life.
It was back to the same old. But I'd love to experiment and do other things with it. Yeah.
Oh, and Michele is saying you're looking beautiful with your natural hair.
Thank you.
So, and Divology saying agree, Michele. I love protective styles and being able to change it up.
Yeah, that's Carleen. Yeah,
I know. So, I'm going to ask you a question in terms of using color and being playful. I mean, I love the color that you have. Is it a mixed color? Is it one shade? What have we got going on here that's so beautiful?
Yeah, you know what, Michele, that's a very good question. So full transparency, I have a lot of gray hair, and I love gray hair. I'm just not ready to go gray yet. And I've really grappled with this. I've tried it. I love it. I just not ready. So I wanted color. So I started out just like an auburn. And then my hairdresser, I said to him, I wanted to go red. And he did this red. And I was like, oh my gosh. And it started growing on me. But then it gets brighter. And then I don't like when it gets too bright. So I go back, I'm like, I want it darker. So I have this love-hate relationship with the color. And, you know, as you can see, my gray, you can see a little bit of my gray. Look, I'm just doing, my thing is this, as I'm having fun with it, you know, there's a lot of things going on in the world. This is not, you know, but thank you, Olivia. Thank you very much. I do think that you have to do what makes you happy, and regardless of what anyone says. You know, Michele, listening to what you're saying, I remember when I was letting my relaxer grow out.
Yes.
And I was doing research on it. And one of the reasons why your scalp gets so itchy is because it's just that layer of the skin of your scalp that's actually really shedding, right? After years of relaxing. And I remember for the first 3 months, it was crazy. And I feel healthier than ever, Maureen. I wanted to say this because this is your area about health. You know, it starts from your scalp. It starts from from the top. So in reference to color, whatever works in terms of, you know, what he does. And also, I just love being natural because I feel like it's healthier for me. And now I'm doing a whole bunch of like natural stuff. I go on YouTube and do stuff with flaxseed oil and rice water. And there's like so many tutorials on YouTube about how to take care of your natural hair. So.
Yeah. And so, Michele, I was coming to that. So thank you for bringing that up, because I think one of the things that has not made me say, okay, I'm just going to not put a braid, put a weave. When I say weave, I do like a curly weave or a crochet, not curly weave, a crochet weave. Right. Mainly because I can do lots of colors with it without affecting my hair. That's one of the reasons why I quite like it. But one of the things I think that I struggle with is the maintenance. Because as I tell a lot of people, it doesn't matter how I put it, it's not going to come out right. So I'm just going to say it. I always say that when God was giving out hair, I was at the back of the queue, and he was kind of like, oh shit, she didn't get any hair. Hold on a minute. No. What? It was
Maureen, no, we cannot.
But I mean, as a kid, it was always like, getting the hair pulled, like every day, even when it was relaxed. I mean, my mom started relaxing my hair when I was 5 because my hair was just thick. I mean, thick and bountiful and beautiful, don't get me wrong, but hard to take care of. So at this stage of the game, I'm like, oh, I mean, those memories are etched in my brains of Sunday night, getting your hair combed, ready for school, getting those hats done. No, I can't. And even my hairdresser can attest to it. Sometimes when she's taking out, this stuff and she's redoing it, and I'm like, God, you're so tender. It's almost like it's embedded that pain, that discomfort that I know is going to come with it. Whether that's really true or not, I think it's probably a combination, a little psychosomatic there. But I want to ask you, what's on the market now for girls like me that need a little extra help just to keep the hair really soft and moist? Because that's the main thing about black hair. Unlike Caucasian hair, unlike Asian hair, we need moisture, right, in our hair. So tell us a bit more about some of the things you just mentioned. And then Maureen, I'd love you to tell us more about what you do with your locks, because I know you do something really intricate and interesting. But Michele, you were talking about black seed oil. I'm actually writing this down.
Flaxseed. It's interesting, Michele. Flaxseed, yeah. It's interesting when we talk about hair. I could talk about hair for days, right? And I think that the one thing I have to say is that it's your relationship with yourself, right? Like, I'm speaking for me now, right? The relationship with yourself and working with what you have. And for me, I've worn weaves, braids, everything, and I think they look fantastic. I applaud women that rock it out like you, Michele. I love you, cornrows. I just really, I got to a point where I was just like, I want to embrace me, my hair, my look, everything. And and I think when I got to that point, I think everything just kind of gelled and worked well. And so my relationship with me has improved over the decades, and my hair reflects this. I also have to say that, I've changed hairdressers because I wanted a hairdresser that was supportive of that process. I remember I was going to a hairstylist who was not. I would get criticized because I wanted to do something different or chop it off, and they were convincing me to still keep it relaxed. And I was like, I don't want to. So I think also, I think maybe, whoever's listening, Olivia, tell me what you think. I think a lot of people think they can get away looking like Beyonce. And no, don't get me wrong. I know that this is really the wig look. I think it's fantastic. If we embrace our own hair, it says a lot. Now, I just saw a comment about people saying about our texture of hair. Look, I've had, my hair has been, yes, I'm tender-headed. I've had my mother braid my hair every Sunday, just like you. She kept it, and I have very thick hair. And I think that I wouldn't allow someone to say that my hair was bad or this and that. You know what I mean? What you're doing is that's a reflection of you on me, and I'm not going to accept that. You know, I'm gonna stop there because I want to hear what Maureen has to say.
Yeah, because I totally agree. And Olivia, I saw your comment, and I think that Black people themselves and hairdressers have had exactly the same. So prior to locking up, and if my hair wasn't handled correctly, and I'd go into a hairdresser, I literally had a hairdresser in the West End start laughing at my hair because they said it was coarse, it was thick. One put his hand in his hair, the other says, "Oh, come and look at this. Her hair's so coarse and thick," and that is not my hair. It was that way because it wasn't in a good condition. It wasn't being looked after. And I think it's important. I think it's hard to give Black people advice about their hair because I think each and every one of us are different as regards what works for our hair, even down to the natural products. So Thrivology, as she says, she uses, so my daughter, I never relaxed her hair ever. As children, they want their hair relaxed. It was a case, no, it's not going to happen. She has found a way that works for her hair, and her hair is beautiful, but she uses the protective styles as well. And as she says, it's that washing our hair
with shampoo,
it strips it and makes it coarse and hard. I go to so I go to a loctician, and she uses natural products, and she's a Rastafarian. So when she locks my hair, there is no comb. And so in the years that I've been going to her, no comb, no scissors, no nothing. It's just pure oils that she used to get from Jamaica. She's reduced that. For whatever reason, her supplier can't do all of it. Provide her with everything. But washing, a certain type of special shampoo, rinsing your hair with orange flower water, which is amazing. Oil, absolutely. And the finishing touch to the locks would be, oh my gosh, Thrivology, if you can remember the name of a special oil that just brings out the shine in your locks after twisting it, etc. So all hand twisted. But what I would say that different locticians will actually use comb, use waxes, which embeds into the locks, and then you see people sometimes with locks that are, kinky and the.
That's interesting. The orange flower water. I definitely am keen on that.
Absolutely, using it as a rinse, and it cleanses the hair. It smells absolutely amazing.
Wow, I'm gonna definitely check. I have a question about protective styles. What sort of protective styles are you referencing?
You're talking about weaves and braids and stuff when you use that term, right, Maureen?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Protecting the hair as opposed to hiding it with a wig or a sewn-in weave. Because one of the things that my hairdresser changed for me, which was great, I used to use the sewn-in wigs and weaves, and that's what really pulls and breaks the hair. But when you do the crochet, it's actually quite soft because you're braiding it, and then it just loops through the hair, and it's light. It's not like this tugging, which is why a lot of people lose a lot of hair. It's not that tugging. So but yeah, and I just love to experiment. So I think it's great. And you know what, Olivia touched on something here, and I think this is great. She says here, I hate the notion that our hair needs taming. And that's one of the things, Olivia, that's beautiful. If you go to New York, especially when I went back to New York in 2016 to live for about 9 months, I was working on a project, and I just couldn't get over how I would say 80% of the women were natural, but it was whatever way the hair was going. It wasn't about, oh, I'm taming it into this style. If my hair is short and tight, that's the style. And if it's long and wide, that's the style. And I was just like, oh my God, it's so beautiful and so creative. And I wish I was seeing more of it here. I'm seeing more natural hair, but not in that way, not in that sort of super creative, any style, anything goes and going to work. And so that was going to be a question for both of you. And I just want to go to Maureen first, just because of having the locks. Was there a period when you were working where you felt you couldn't get a job because you had locks? Because I remember when I was a kid, there was a time when I think if your hair wasn't relaxed, you couldn't get a job as a Black woman, period. It didn't matter what other style you had. So
okay, that's very interesting. Going back to what we said just very briefly, I, like Michele, going natural and loxing up, I've had more negative reactions from Black people than
from white people.
Than white people. So as a businesswoman, I get my own contracts. I've subcontracted and I go out to big companies and I will get my contracts. I've never had a problem. I've walked into the workplace with my locks, not a problem, compliments. The only negative thing I had on one occasion was somewhere I'd been going into fairly often for quite a while, and that was near Wales, between Bristol and Wales, Avonmouth. And I'm working away, and one of the senior managers comes into the office and actually says, Maureen, one of the girls in the office, she's never seen someone with hair like yours. So is it all right if she comes in and touches your hair? Well, can she have a feel? Can she? Well, to this day, I haven't answered him. I just got on with my work, totally ignored. That was it. I just wasn't in to answer.
Yeah. What am I a dog? You want to pet me?
Thank you. Thank you. But no, it's in the Caribbean. I went out to Trinidad one year for a funeral. My partner at the time, his auntie died, and went out for her funeral. But I was warned by his brother beforehand. My other auntie is not going to talk to you. Beware, my auntie is not going to talk to you. So I'm saying, why? Because you've got locks. And my locks were shorter then. And I said, you're kidding me. So she doesn't know me. And true to form, that was the case. So, you know, sort of job-wise here, getting work, not a problem. Keep it as neat as possible. And I think somebody asked it, Charlene Samuel, if it was locks are protective. No, they're not. I don't see it as a protective style. It's your natural hair. It's not in a way. There are times I'll have it up. There are times I'll have it plaited just to keep it neat for me and out of the way while I'm working. But yeah, otherwise, no. So
excellent. And going back to talking about the grey hair, I mean, I've seen so many beautiful women with grey hairstyles that just look stunning. But I'm one of those that I'm holding on. I'm like, you can't say that. I'm not, that's how I am about going grey. I ain't letting go anytime soon. You know
what? It's a personal thing, isn't it? And personally, I have got greys coming through, but I will dye it, and it's not because I'm ashamed of it. I would embrace it because I think it looks absolutely beautiful on women who have it.
Yes.
But for me, it just doesn't sit well with my skin color. It looks, you know, there's a difference for me in sort of just dyeing the hair and sort of.
I think it's a personal choice, isn't it?
It is.
As with your hair, it's a personal choice of how you want to wear it, how it makes you feel. I mean, at the end of the day, our hair is our crown, it's our beauty, and you have to wear it the way it makes you feel. But going back to something really important that Michele talked about, and actually was having a great chat with a friend from Jordan the other day about the subject, and I was saying to her that, you know, we're going to be talking about it and that she should check it out because obviously she's not Black. And she, you know, we're talking about pros and cons, and she said, you know, I think it'd be really good if people like Beyonce, and you mentioned it before, Michele, but this is somebody else who's not, you know, not part of the race, saying, I think it'd be really great if somebody like Beyonce wasn't wearing weaves, because she's attracting a generation of young women that think that beauty is to look like Beyonce, and to look like Beyonce is to have a weave down here that's blonde or whatever. what would be the effect? She didn't say that, but I'm asking the question, and it's a rhetorical question. What would be the effect if Beyonce just came on stage one day with her hair natural, without a weave? I mean, it'd be really interesting to see if the reaction would be just, or if it'd be like, oh, that's great, and then go ahead.
I just want to say that when it comes to what I meant by Beyonce, right? Because I love her music. I think she's beautiful, and she's doing a lot. I love the issues that she's taking a stance on. So perhaps what I maybe should be more direct is saying that her hair, when she was touring, her long flowy, blonde weave, right, or wig, that looked hot, and I think that that's great for her. It doesn't look great on everyone, and I think that not me. I've tried to wear blonde, and it worked. And so my thing is, I feel like, and maybe a lot of people won't agree with me on this, and it's okay, but what happened to working with what you have? Work with what you have. What is it, and why? And it's interesting because how is it that it's just like, what kind of look are you trying to achieve with a hair texture that is completely different from your actual hair? So I think this brings another topic in, like psychologically, like how are you? What's going on here? And the thing is that what I love now, Michele and Maureen, is that now we're seeing more women embrace their natural hair. I love it because I grew up with women who always had natural. They still do. But now I'm not getting flack for it. And I will say the folks that gave me flack for it, it's because they don't embrace their own hair. So when people give you feedback, it's based on their perception.
Right. Their feeling.
What's that, Maureen?
I totally agree with you, Michele. You're spot on. It's their perception.
It's
their problem. It's their issues. Absolutely. Whatever that may be.
Whatever, yeah. And so, and I also will say, okay. Thank you, Charlene. Thank you very much. And my thing is this: I don't get the looks that I used to get with relaxed hair, and I'm okay with that.
Yes, and that's another thing. Yeah.
I walk down the street, the looks that I'm getting, and I mean, I'm married. I've been married for 20 years, but we all want to appeal to anyone. Like, come on, that's just a natural thing, And I don't get looks like and you know what? I'm gonna try wearing a wig and to see if I get a different look. It's what we're conditioned. What we're conditioned as to what beauty is what I'm sitting here and talking about, right?
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say about Beyonce and even Rihanna. A lot of it is PR and marketing to cross-section it, to get across to the wider audience, right? Because if they came out with little afros, it'd be like, oh yeah, Beyonce's all right. But, if you're not Black and you see somebody who looks like you a little bit more, then you might be like, oh, I can get with that. She's Black, and she can sing, but look how beautiful she is, because the beauty that's been emulated is the beauty of a European look. And I'm not sure, I'm trying to think of what Black, African American, any woman of color that had Negro-ish hair has been regarded as a great actress or singer. I'm trying to think.
Well,
right? I'm trying to think. I think India Ari, a phenomenal singer. Do we hear anything about her? No.
I agree with what Shell just said, and I'll put it out there. For the longest time, the reason why I relaxed my hair is because that's what I looked at as beauty. And when I stopped relaxing my hair and I started embracing myself, it was like a mirror reflection. This is the observation I made. Folks were saying to me, how dare you? Why are you doing that? Why? And this is really deep. This is really deep, because if we can't, if we're born with a specific look, right, and we're working on changing it, and somebody might be saying, well, why do you color your hair red? Look. Like I said, you got to have fun with your look. Work with your look. The most beautiful, and this is also changing opinion. I think women who are natural, look, Maureen, I would just love to just look how long and touch your hair from the perspective, because that just to me looks like strength. Michele, you too. I just think it's gorgeous. Gorgeous. I also, somebody said something about taming. I'm a little old school. I love natural hair, but I also think it needs to look a little neat too. Like, if I wake up in the morning, I'm not a wash and go kind of a girl. I got to do some things to just keep it hydrated. So, but
keep it hydrated. Yeah.
I mean,
it's important for us to think about it, and I think I feel like Black American women have moved more in that direction than here. I think it's happening here, but it's slower in the way that I saw. I mean, I went in and I was just kind of like, oh my God, everybody's hair is natural now. For the most part, there are going to be some people that will never change. And again, it's a personal choice, but it's when, as you said, you're relaxing your hair or wearing your hair a certain way to please others. And it's not about pleasing yourself. I'm getting a weave because I think I'll be more attractive to more men, and you probably are. You probably are. I always give people a joke, like, when I lose weight and I'm skinny, I don't see any West Indian men they're not even trying to talk to me. I get lots of white guys go, hi, hello, how you doing? And as soon as I get a little round everything, it's like, all right, sister, how you doing? You look good today. Like, need to get to the gym.
I think also, I think there's a lot to be said about being comfortable with who you are and your look. There's a lot to be said for it. Maureen, listening to, and someone said that their aunt described their hair as pig hair. First of all, with all due respect, pigs don't have any hair. So, like, what?
That's a good point.
And I'm not, it's like the comments that people repeat, right? It's a projection of negativity and inaccuracy, and that's just not how. I will say too that the minute I started wearing braids and having a more ethnic look, that felt threatening to some individuals. Ruth,
Absolutely.
just saying.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, Shell says here, but now we're taking the power back, hence all the beauty, natural hairstyles we see today, and we are changing. And thank God for that. And I hope those of you that are mothers that have children or have daughters, I should say, well, even sons, but daughters, really, well, I don't see too many guys relaxing their hair, but I remember back in the day when the Jerry curl was out. Ooh. Anyway, we won't even get into that story. But
we can talk about it.
Oh.
We can talk about it.
I've seen the odd male permed hair today, so
I think what's his name is the last one who's relaxed hair. Oh my God, what's his name? And I saw him on TV yesterday. I was thinking he's still skinny. Reverend Al Sharpton.
Oh
yeah.
I'm wondering if his hair's actually natural, if he's got sort of initially, because I've met him personally, and the hair seems sort of naturally wavy.
I wonder if it is natural of a texture that he can easily slick it back. Yeah, it's very interesting. I think about Billy D. Williams, and I was just reading an article on Rick James, and all these men, played a role that had relaxed hair. But then I'm thinking about like Prince, and I remember Prince's hair. Prince, I don't think it was relaxed. I think it was his texture. Yeah. But it was just like,
And Barry White.
Oh, don't touch Barry White. Please don't touch Barry White. Please. I love him. I'm so done with Sandra, right?
Everybody else, but don't touch Barry White.
No, man. That man, he's Luther Vandross. Luther Vandross rapped a little
thing. Yeah. That was the time.
I know why you don't want us to talk about Barry White, because that's probably how you got here, right?
I mean, a more beautiful voice. So it's interesting how, but then I'm thinking about Teddy Pendergast. Teddy Pendergast always had natural hair, right?
I can't remember.
So it's like,
remember.
Marvin Gaye, Al Green, James
Brown.
Charlene went there with James Brown. A lot of issues with James. Great entertainer, but
absolutely. It's a time, though, isn't it? It's like that now.
Oh my God, ladies, it's been fabulous. I mean, as you said, we could talk about hair for a long time, and different aspects of it. Right now we're just talking about natural hair and how to take care of it and how it feels. And I guess, one of the things that's important about the joy of connection is, the joy of connecting with your hair, connecting with yourself, and that self-love, and it's all intertwined, and your hair is a very big part of it. But you guys won't believe it, but we've been on for an hour, just shy of an hour.
So, I have all day. We could talk about it all day.
My producer charges double time, so I gotta go. Ladies, it was honestly a joy and a pleasure, and I look forward to bringing you back on to discuss some other topics, because, as I said, there's so many things that we don't talk about that we need to talk about, and this is one of them. And this is just one aspect of hair. I mean, we could go on, but it has been a great pleasure. And I just wanted to ask you both, is there anything that you'd like to leave the audience thinking about? And whether it's about hair or these difficult times that we're going through at this moment, is there anything that you'd love to share with the audience? I'll start with you, Michele. Put you on the spot. She's like me.
I think it's a great question. I think we're talking about hair, and there's so many. Oh, goodness gracious, the pandemic has just completely changed our lives. So it's a pleasure to talk about something that's not about the pandemic. And I think one of the main themes that I see that coming out during these past 18 months is that people are doing what they want, right? They're embracing themselves and pursuing interest in their careers that they perhaps never would have considered before. And I also think that's also a reflection of how they're viewing themselves. So if you want to try that hairstyle, if you want to go natural, if you want to wear that wig, do it. That's how it makes you feel good about yourself, do it.
Rocket. I'm just going to interject before I go to Maureen, but I remember I went, I think it was in 2010. I just moved here, and then I went to an event, a vacation in Mexico with some friends, and we had Hawaiian night. We had a different theme night, and one night we had wig night. And so I went to, I think, Ann Summers, which is kind of, it's not a sex shop, but it's like a lingerie / sexy shop in the UK. And I bought this pink wig, and I thought that was going to be fun. And everybody else had like different color wigs. One of the guys came out with his mustache and his mum's church wig, and we laughed so hard. And I don't know why that just came to mind, but it was like, those little curls, like he'd taken them out of the rollers, but then didn't comb them out. And we just laughed for hours because everybody came out with their long, slinky, different color wigs. And he came out with, he was like, "Is the only one I could find? It's my mum's old wig."
You know what? It's so funny you mentioned that, Michele. But my great aunt, may she rest in peace, Albertine, I grew up with her wearing wigs like that. Yeah. And I always remember seeing her natural hair peeking
right underneath, just at the back.
And I always thought, what was the matter with her natural hair? Why couldn't she show it?
It was it was beautiful. There was a time when it wasn't considered beautiful, but thank goodness we're seeing the light now. And Maureen, anything you'd like to share?
And more or less the same thing, but just remember that life is just so, obviously with experience, life is short, life is precious. And it's about, rather than the fear of the pandemic and the virus and the variants, it's about looking after yourself. That's what you can control. So, you know, from what you eat to drinking water to exercising, and just whatever works for you hair-wise. So, you know, as regards products, natural things, putting in your hair, experiment, keep your hair moist, and just go with what works for you, and just enjoy life. Yeah.
Give it love. Give your hair love.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Give your hair love. Ladies, it was a sincere pleasure. I mean, I'm sitting in the computer literally, like, I'm enjoying it so much. I've got to get in the mix. I've got to get in the mix. Thank you, Michele, for joining us from New York during your busy day. I really appreciate you taking out, you know, a good chunk of your day. So thank you so much. And Maureen here in the UK, it was a pleasure. And Michele, when you come to the UK, you have to meet Maureen, and Maureen, when you come to New York.
Yeah, we gotta hang out.
We definitely. I've got to go to New York as well.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
No, you're in Connecticut. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I'm waiting to train in. So let's make it happen, Maureen. It's such a pleasure to meet you. Michele, thanks for having me again.
Thank you, Michele. It's been a pleasure.
Ladies, it was a joy, and thank you so much for joining us. Take care, and I'll join you back in the green room. So don't disappear.
Okay.
So everyone, thank you so much. It's been an hour of pleasure and fun. And, you know, I always give you my end of the evening quote, but one of the things that one of our guests said tonight, and I thought it was beautiful, Michele said, be your own kind of beautiful. And I think that's really key. Be your own kind of beautiful, whatever that is to you. So thank you all for joining us. Thank you for the great comments. Yes, we've had great guests, excellent conversation, and a bit of laugh as well. And that was great. And also some education and some learning. And for those of you that may not have black hair and are joining us tonight or in the rerun and you're watching it, let us know what you think. Maybe you've learned something too, and maybe you won't ask to touch our hair anymore. Anyway, moving right along. Moving right along. Have a great week. Looking forward to seeing you all next week. Joining us for season 4 and episode 2 of The Joyful Connection. So be joyful, be connected, and shine your light. Good night.